years or so. He seems to be, one thing that everyone said about him, which I think you saw here, articulate, well-spoken, knowledgeable, represents well, hard worker. Everybody said, first one there, last one gone. You know, you see his car there all the time. That type of thing, picks up extra duties. So a lot of great comments about Ben from the people up there. And it's not to say he didn't have issues. I mean, they made cuts, they laid off people. You know, people thought he was a big city guy coming up there, you know, making all these changes. You know, he took it on the chin there for a little while. So that's hard to do, as you might expect. But I feel like he's a solid candidate, and everything seemed to check out in terms of the references.
Hey, John, I'd like to make a motion that we offer this position to Ben Williams.
Support. Second support.
Are we allowed to do that at this meeting, is my question? Since this is a special meeting for interviews, do we have to wait till a regular board meeting?
No, you can do it at this meeting. I mean, depending on, of course, your own protocols, but you're a seated board, and you can make an offer. This is not the final thing. What you'd be doing is we would be calling him then and saying, we're offering you this position contingent upon agreement on a contract. Then you'd have to vote on the contract at your regular meeting.
That was my next question, because we haven't come to agreement on that.
No.
Yeah.
My motion was just to, offer him the position.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Honeycutt and a support by Mr. Zorn to extend the offer of superintendent to Mr. Ben Williams, contingent on
Contract
negotiation. Discussion by the board.
I feel comfortable with that. I feel very excited about the possibility of him coming here, and also the fact that, Rod, you're involved and have helped us tremendously with this process. This is the smoothest process for hiring a superintendent since I've been here. So I appreciate that, but I also appreciate the fact that you're not going anywhere. That person's going to come and be our superintendent, and you will provide backup and support. They will get that
Absolutely.
from the Wayne County Recess superintendent and other superintendents in the area. So although no one can know everything about a district and a new job, but I think with the support system through you, Wayne County RESA, and other superintendents, he will be a good fit for us. So thank you.
Plus, we know where you live, so.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Would we just vote on that, or would it require a roll call?
Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Mr. Zorn, will you read the roll call, please?
So, Mr. Honeycutt.
Yes.
Mr. Masters is excused. Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Deline.
Yes.
Mrs. Zorn votes yes. Mr. Riley.
Vote yes. That will pass 6-0, and we have agreed to extend an offer to Mr. Ben Williams. So, I would like to echo Mrs. Stellini's comments on the smoothness of all of this and all the work that you put into this for us. But I'd also like to say to the board, I'm a little shocked that we have gone pretty smooth from 26 to 6 to 3 to 1, and have had, we've all kind of been on the same page, which is really exciting.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say as well, is that all of our top 6 come down. He was in every one of our top 6, and all 3 of them were in every one of our top 6.
And very much in line with a lot of the audience comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's, to me,
Well, again, thank you though. I didn't get a chance to. I would like to thank you that all the work you've done. We have had some processes that didn't go anywhere near as smooth as this, and this is everything good, everything ready for us, and the process went well. The candidates were good. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Rod, what will be our next step?
So what I'd like to do, if you're interested, I wouldn't mind calling Ben right now and asking him if you want to stay in session for a second, see if I can get a hold of him, and if he says yes, that he accepts the offer contingent upon agreement, I think that would be positive. Then what I would do from that point would be, you know, on that contract that we worked on, then I've already sent that to him, so I'll just kind of put a number in there. So the number I'm going to put in there is 130, because that's what we talked about when Bobby was here, and then see what he says to that as we go forward, and then we'll just finish up that stuff. Then I'll end up sending it to you. Then you put it on your next regular board meeting. Now, when's your next board meeting?
February 8th.
February 8th. So that is
2 weeks from tonight.
So we should be able to put it together and get it done, and then you'd approve it at the February 8th meeting. And in the meantime, we'd also start talking about transition. Like, you know, he said, you know, and it's hard to answer that question in an interview situation.
Right.
I stood up there just because I was just gonna say, all right, you know, I want to help you guys, but he did okay with it, which was, you know, he come down some, but he didn't want to abandon them, and so we have to just work that out a little bit. I know what you guys want. I need to work with him a little bit and just help make that happen for you, and so it just take a little time.
And in that, I think the feeling of the board is that we wanted Mrs. Allen to be able to continue the day-to-day to allow him to do what he's told us tonight he wants to do, is to come visit buildings, ride bus, you know, that's what we would like for him to be able to come do when he's able to do that, if that's possible.
And reconfiguration.
And reconfiguration, if he can do that, then it is kind of a distance, but, you know, I appreciate the fact that he didn't say, well, you know, if you offer me a job, I'll resign in 2 weeks and be here. Yeah, I wouldn't appreciate that if that were happening to us, and I sure.
And I did tell him, you know, April 1st or so. I mean, there's going to be some time. So we need to get the contract done first, and we need to think it through. His board up there, when I talked to his board members, they understood that it would be sometime, you know, before the end of the year. So they'll have to figure that out too. But like when I did it a couple times, I was in the UP and I was coming down to Grant. I did both jobs for a while, and I did the 3 days here and 4 days there and just managed it, you know. So I'm not saying he's going to do that, but there's ways to do this work and figure it out, and so you don't leave the other district high and dry. So,
also, he spoke to the fact that you can't wait till July 1st when everybody's out of the district
Right.
to start
doing
booking,
stuff.
riding buses
Yeah.
and doing all of that.
And he'll have some vacation time that he can use from up there, and maybe he can get a couple unpaid days if he needs to.
Well, he did say, you know, that he might be working a couple days a week or, you know,
Yeah.
come down. And that would just be good, you know.
So we'll have to figure that out a little bit as we go forward. But let me see if I can get a hold of him here and see what he says.
Do you have a copy of the contract with
I
the
do.
changes?
I do.
So we can look at that?
You know, for you, no, I have one. I thought we already did all that. We did that.
Tell them to pull over.
Exactly.
Well, if you remember correctly, I ran the contracts along last night.
Ben, how you doing?
Yeah, we,
Hey, I'm sitting here in front of all the people, and the board has just voted 6-0 to offer and extend you opportunity to be superintendent down here. What do you think about that? Let me put you on speaker. So, are you interested?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's still sitting in the parking lot.
So what's that? All right, good for you. Well, I'll call you later, and we'll start talking about contract and transition a little bit. But congratulations, I'll give you a call in a little bit. All right, I will. Thank you. So Ben says thank you to all of you, and he says thank you to the board. He is extremely excited.
Okay, so.
That's it?
Let's slow down. Slow down.
will you be calling the other two
I
candidates
will.
right away, because this could be a
I will.
newspaper
I'll call
article
him.
soon, online?
Yep, I'll be right on.
Okay.
I was gonna hold out.
If you remember last time when we discussed the contract,
Yes.
I ran the contract wrong. So they have not seen a complete hard copy of that contract, which they need to see,
Okay,
the board, I mean, so that we can discuss there, I'm sure there's a couple, I think the salary part of it, I think we agreed to, but there's some things in there that we wanted to make sure were correct, so I need to get them a copy of.
well, and I emailed the changes back to you,
Okay,
so you have it.
I can send it out to them tomorrow.
You can, yep. And now I have to work with him on it. So there still will be there might be minor changes to it. But I think we got everything in there that you guys talked about. All those changes were made. The only issue was when
Pat?
Pat was, she was saying some of the language wasn't exactly the same, but the intent was all the same. So what I was gonna do maybe on this final version was try to match up the language a little bit and still change it a little bit more.
So do you want to send me a completed copy, corrected, and then I will forward it to the board? And that'll give us 2 weeks to look it over and discuss?
Yeah, what I think what I'd rather do is take the work that we've done, which I think we all did that, and then I need to work with Ben on it now. Because he might have some input in it. And if he doesn't have any changes, then I can just send it to you and say, hey, this is what's agreed to, but do you feel like that's okay? You want me to
I
resend
think
you?
there's still some questions on the board about a few of the items.
Well, you have my latest version.
Okay, then I'll send that one out.
You have my latest version.
Well, the merit pays out.
Yep,
We talked about the difference in the number of days, that you had 30 days out of the year,
yep, we
230
got
work
that,
days
that's
versus
all corrected.
260.
We got that all fixed.
Well, no, but our district offers way more. So if we're gonna start making changes and not paying out so much in benefits to people, we start with that superintendent contract and go from there. So,
Well, that's,
I think that needs to be looked at.
the days was not that much different. I mean, what I had originally said was 20 vacation days, which is a little light. In some cases, it's 25 for superintendents. And then there's 10 holidays, where some places there's 12. So, I mean, you can definitely get up to where you guys have the normal school recesses, which is just 6 more days at Christmas, usually if you have 2 weeks off, and then 4 more, so there's 10 more there. So there's 10 days there, but then there's just the normal 25-day leave days. So I don't feel like your days are that far off for what you're talking about, especially when it matches up with the central office contracts. Now, if you want to change them, I mean, I think you'd want to change all of them. You know, you wouldn't just want to do the superintendent, I don't think you would. But the other thing is we're talking about bringing this person in at the bottom of our range. So if we've got a couple days here and there, you know, it's peanuts compared to, 150 compared to 130.